UFC 292 recap. So, okay, let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Knuckle Sandwich Podcast on video. We're now on YouTube, we're on TikTok. Just be ready for all the content, seeing my face 24/7 because it's about to be insane. I'm your host, Brandon Anderson. Today we're going over UFC 292, the recap of the Sugar Show, stumping Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling, all the fights in between, all the main cards. It's about to be electric, it's exciting, and I can't wait to go over it all with you. So, if you're ready, put your headphones in, turn up the music, grab a sandwich, kick your feet up, because here we go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Man, Boston was electric. Of course I didn't go. I watched it on TV. But as I was watching, I had my laptop. We were taking notes the whole entire fights. And there was not one fight that disappointed, okay? From the very first fight with the guillotine with only 1 second left, all the way up to the main event with the one-punch knockout. Or not really, but you know what I'm saying. The knockout, Sugar Sean O'Malley over Aljamain Sterling. We went 4-1 on the night on our guesses, so I can say that we did pretty well for UFC Boston. Bruce Buffer looked like the Laser Grid and Spy Kids. My wife pointed out to me, and I thought that was fantastic. I said he looked like a Christmas present, but you know, I like the lasers better. She's smarter than I am. All right, let's get into the fights, okay? Starting out, we're going to start with the first main card fight. Marlon Chito Vera versus Pedro Munoz. Fantastic fight on paper. These two guys are both killers. Chito normally starts off slow, and in his typical fashion, he did kind of start off slow in the first round. If you listened to the podcast last week, I said that Pedro Munoz is going to come out with pressure, with aggression, with punches and bunches and flurries of kicks, and that's exactly what he did. He came out, leg kicks galore, trying to take the front leg out, punches and bunches, but Chito was able to move off the center line. He was able to counter Pedro Munoz as he came forward, landed a lot of straights in that first round. But in my opinion, honestly, I gave the first round to Pedro Munoz just because of the aggression. He landed a large quantity of strikes in that first round. Moving into the second round, though, there was a lot more pressure from both men, a lot more power from both men. Started landing some more strikes that actually pushed the other fighter backwards. As I stated last week with Cum Swanson and Hakeem Dawodu, judges look for quality over quantity, right? And yes, the quantity of Pedro's strikes in the first round probably won him the first round because Chito didn't do too much. But the quality of strikes for Chito over time is ultimately what was able to kind of start stumping Munoz going into round 3. If you watch round 3, he was able to land straights. He was able to go straight down the pipe and stumped Munoz multiple times to where he started to sit back a little bit. Legs started to buckle. Never fell. Never got knocked down. But he started to show signs of wear and tear, right? The quality of Chito's punches were the difference maker. As I said last week, he needed to stay on the outside. He needed to endure the onslaughts, and he needed to come prepared with some leg kicks, but also just being able to move in and out. And that's exactly what he did. Now, with a performance like this, though, even though Sean O'Malley is now the champion, you've got the bad blood, the promotion is there. With a performance like this, with no finish and no real dominant edge, it's hard for me to argue a title shot is up next to him. There's so many killers in this division, like Corey Sandhagen, yet coming off an injury. Umar Nurmagomedov also coming off an injury. Petr Yan, Chito has not fought yet. Henry Cejudo was the original person he should have fought. I just feel like he needs one more. He needs one more fight to be able to call himself the number one contender. So what's next for Chito? I believe Henry Cejudo should probably be next. That was the original fight. It was the OG fight, and it was going to be fantastic. I think that's really what needs to happen first. Other than that, Petr Yan has not fought Petr yet. I think that would be a great fight for him. But also, too, once Umar kind of gets back on track, I think Umar Nurmagomedov and Chito Vera would be the perfect step for Umar, as well as a big win for Chito. So I'm going with Cejudo, Umar, Petr for what's next with Chito Vera. Moving into the next fight, Damon Blackshear versus Mario Bautista. If you remember last week, I said Blackshear's coming in off of a 1 week ago win by Twister on the Vicente Luque RDA card, okay? If he would have won this fight, he would have set records galore with 2 wins in 7 days. All kinds of different things. Just the twister alone last week put him in the record books as the third person to ever have a twister. And so my mind went to, with him fighting last week, he's probably going to be tired, going through 2 weight cuts, going through a whole camp. His energy's not going to be there, so look for him to come out strong, come out fast, and try to finish it first in the first round. Now, Blackshear did do that. He came out in round 1 landing multiple takedowns, coming in being the aggressor just as we expected him to be. But coming off a fight just like last week, ideally, like I said, the faster the fight could have been, the better. Bautista did a great job with his reversals on the ground that led to a potential guillotine in the first round that Blackshear was able to slip out of. And going into round 2, Blackshear continued to be active. He continued to go for takedowns. He continued to go for strikes. But nothing really amounted to anything in the activity because Mario was able to land big strikes in the clinch and coming out of the clinch that began to wear and tear Blackshear down. Now moving into round 3 though, Mario did come out in round 3 looking to smother him. As I said last week, Mario's game plan should be to tire this man out, okay? He just fought a week ago. He's not in the best shape. Even though this isn't the guy that you would plan for, you can still win and smother this man against the cage. And that's what he did in round 3. He got him against the clinch, got him against the cage, and really put the pressure on him, made him feel the weight. And a lot of clinch work was done. He beat him down, earned the victory. So now for me, Mario Bautista needs a fight up next. There's a few people that I have in mind that Mario Bautista could fight. Number 1, Adrian Yanez. I think that would be a tough fight for him because Yanez is that stand-up fighter. Ricky Simone is another fighter that I think would be a great fight. He just came off that loss against Song Yadong. So I believe that either one of those 2 guys could potentially give Bautista some problems in the stand-up game. But also, too, I feel like both of these guys are a step up in competition for Mario Bautista. And I would love to see how he does against competition above him now. Get him a ranked opponent. Let's see what he can do. On to probably one of my favorite fights of the night. Ian, Gary, and Neil Magny. Whew! As I was watching this fight, I love this fight. As I was watching this fight, I pulled up my podcast from last week, and I listened to it. And literally I said, Gary's speed and power is going to be the difference maker because Magny starts slow and he moves kind of slow, but he's dirty. He's a dirty fighter. But Neil Magny, I said, needed to use the low kicks and the body kicks, and he dropped him with the first 2. He dropped him twice with the first 2 leg kicks that he did in the very first round, like in the first minute. What? Oh, dude, I'm so smart. I'm just kidding. But look, so seriously, the speed and the power was the difference maker. Now, there was a couple times in the fight that Magny started scooting across the canvas, and he did it all the way across the canvas at one point. And it reminded me of the Anderson Silva-Damian Maia fight that was supposed to be a really big war, the striker versus grappler, and it kind of ended up like this fight did. What really surprised me with Neil Magny is he never really switched his stance. He never checked the left leg kick. So it just kept getting beaten and battered. I mean, it was absolute domination by Ian Gary from the very beginning with the leg kicks, the straight lefts and rights, and all the trash talk in between. Ian Gary showed that he is ready for the big time. The middle fingers, the trash talk in between rounds. I mean, to me, this really defined who Ian Gary is. We saw him fight some lower level guys. D-Rod was his biggest fight before this. And to me, it showed that he is ready, like I said, for the big time. I think he's ready for a top 10, top 5 opponent. I do believe that he could have finished this fight. I feel like he could have put Magny away in that first round if he just really put it on him. But listening to that post-fight press conference with him in there, he said that Neil Magny's a scumbag, that he wanted to punish him, right? And that's what he did. He made him feel the punishment. And I feel like that was more of a statement win than putting Magny out, if that makes sense. And normally that's not the case. But I do believe that is the case in this fight. Now, after the fight, he called out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and I thought it was going to be a fantastic segment into the next fight for him. But it turns out Dana White said that Wonderboy said no to the fight in the back. Like, they offered it to him immediately and said, hey, you're fighting Ian Gary. Sorry. You're fighting Ian Gary. And Steven said, no, I'm good. He does not want to do it. But I believe that Wonderboy has his sights set on like Kamaru Usman or somebody at the higher top, a bigger name. And I can understand that. I would love to see Ian Gary fight a high-level striker. So I still feel like the Jeff Neal fight could be good. I feel like Shavkat Rakhmonov would be a fantastic fight. They used to train together or did a camp together or something, and I feel like that would be great. Another potential person that I would like to see him fight, and yes, it's going to be lower than he is, but the winner of Kevin Holland and Jack Della Maddalena, I feel like would be a fantastic fight. Now, I do feel like he would have the edge over both. Like, I've not seen this type of speed and power from somebody in a while. Ian Gary's a special person. The future's really bright, and we're going to see how bright the future really is coming up in the next little bit. But he said he wants to fight in I think it was Madison Square Garden. He wants to fight in New York. He wants to fight in December. So I'm curious to see what they do. Shavkat doesn't have an opponent because Kevin Gastelum dropped out. So, hey, Shavkat, Ian Gary, December, book it. Sign it up. I love it. Moving on into our co-main event of the evening, Zhang Weili and Amanda Lemos. Last week I said that both these ladies were killers, and it was going to be interesting to see how the stand-up battle went because both of them know that they have the power. Both of them know that they have the ability to knock each other out. And honestly, we didn't see much of the stand-up game as would have wanted / expected, but we did see the dominance of Zhang Weili in this fight. She had a low kick knockdown immediately in round 1. Lemos got the Darce choke. It looked pretty deep. Weili got out, rained down some nasty elbows and punches at the end of round 1. Lemos jumps and tries to get a Darce again, and that was kind of like, whoa, this is how the fight's going to go. Very exciting, very even, other than the amount of punches and strikes from Zhang Weili to Lemos. But overall, kind of even-ish round. But round 2 was all ground control and transitions by Zhang Weili. In my opinion, going into round 3, Lemos looked tired, but her corner continued to say that Zhang was tired. She's tiring out. She's tiring out. Go after her. Go after her. That wasn't the case at all. Now, round 5 maybe, but we're in round 3. And in round 3, I do believe that Lemos already started to show signs of a descent in the energy. Weili continued to smother her on the ground and in the clinch. Lemos didn't have any head movement, and she started to drop those hands, like how we had talked last week, where it looks like she's in a street fight. And I said that that could be a potential problem for Lemos against a striker in Zhang Weili. Going into round 4, Lemos started to turn it up a little bit. She had a little more striking going into round 4. Her striking game started to pick up some momentum. Landed multiple shots to Weili. One that knocked her down, didn't stun her. More like a trip. And but like I said, the low guard and crazy strikes started to come out towards the end of that round because she was starting to show frustration. She knew she was losing. She knew she needed to get some type of finish to be able to get the belt. In round 5, Weili got the knockdown, dominant ground and pound from the crucifix, lands her record 6 takedown to be her new best in her fights, but also she landed a new striking record for women. And listen to this. She outstruck Amanda Lemos 296 to 29. Math. 267 more strikes than Lemos. What? Oh, dude. But her use of the takedowns, the ground and pound, it was just a masterclass show, okay? And that's just, it's my opinion. But she dominated her. I mean, this girl was supposed to be the one that could possibly take her head off. And she completely dominated Amanda Lemos. So now with a performance like this, UFC China doesn't seem so far-fetched after all, especially with Yan Xiaonan being in her rearview mirror. I'm curious to see how that goes, what route they kind of go, because they are going to Singapore next week. We're going to go over that soon. But so up next for Zhang Weili, I think it is Yan Xiaonan if they go UFC China. If they don't, Tatiana Suarez looks like a fantastic fight for her. I think both of those would be great. The strawweight division for ladies is looking bright. And now, it's time for the main event breakdown. The fight that we were all here for. Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling, Sugar Sean O'Malley. I mean, the anticipation building up to this fight was fantastic. The walkouts looked like two different people, right? Sean O'Malley looked kind of nervous, but focused. Aljamain Sterling looked super confident, ready to go. As soon as Bruce Buffer began to speak, both fighters walked into the middle of the octagon. I've never seen this before. They walked in the middle of the octagon and just stared at each other. Stared each other down. Like you could cut the tension with a dull spoon at this point. They were ready to go. And they didn't even let Mark Goddard finish the instructions in the middle. He just said, you have a clean fight, blah, blah, blah. And they both walked away. He never even got to say if you want to touch gloves because they didn't want to. Right? In the first round, I don't think I've ever seen Sean O'Malley be so patient. Landed some front kicks, landed some leg kicks. Aljo did as well. They both kept range. They were trying to be very technical, very aware of each other, trying to feel each other out. And sometimes in these big fights, that's what you get. You get a feeling out process in round one. We saw that with Anderson Silva and Nate Marquardt back in the day. I mean, all these big fights, you normally see that because they understand and respect each other as fighters and their strengths. So, in my mind, Aljamain Sterling's trying to figure out where the range is. How can I take him down? Where can I get into to be able to get him down? Sean O'Malley is just trying to figure out the feints, trying to figure out timing, things of that nature. At the end of round one, Aljamain puts a little bit of pressure onto him, gets him against the cage, lands some strikes, and really, ultimately, I feel like that was the deciding factor there. Round one was kind of, I don't want to say boring. Round one was not boring, but it was technical. It was a filling out process, but I believe Aljamain Sterling won round one. The response by Sean O'Malley in round two, speechless. So, like, if you've watched Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo, they put this everywhere. The bounce around, step back, he hit him with a left hand, drops him. When you watch the knockout that Sean O'Malley had over Aljamain Sterling in round two, it's the same concept. Aljamain is getting frustrated. He's getting eager to take him down, so he tries to rush in, throws the left hand. Sean O'Malley just steps back. Boom! Right hand. Look at the vegetables. Boom! Right hand. Drops him. And for a second, just stands there. Stares at him. And it's almost like O'Malley is thinking, okay, is this even real? Is this actually happening? And for a split second, he's just like, what do I do? Boom, jumps on him. Big strikes. Bow, bow, bow. And Goddard ends up stopping the fight. Do I think it might have been a little early? Sure. In a championship fight, you kind of want to give the defending champ, but also the challenger, as many options as possible, as many attempts as possible to regain themselves, to make it a longer fight, an interesting fight. They've both been there. They've been through the toughest of the tough to be in that position. You got to give them a chance. I feel like he did give him a slight chance, but maybe not as much as he wanted to, or that should have been. Now, like I said, this was absolutely the wrestler versus striker, and the striker reigned supreme. In the first round, he showed tremendous patience. He didn't rush. He didn't get showy, and he never once showed nerves once he got into the octagon, and this is Sean O'Malley, of course. And so, like, with one thing with Sean O'Malley, it's easy to forget how good he is because of all the antics, the shows outside of the octagon. Okay? It's like Conor. Conor's a fantastic fighter, but due to all the promos, the lights, the shine, the action, the cameras, everything, it's hard to remember that this guy actually fights. I think O'Malley's a little more disciplined, but it's hard to see through the colored hair that this guy actually is a legit fighter, okay? Another thing that he stated after the fight was he had an injury going into, or about 6 weeks out, that caused him to not even be able to wrestle through camp for the last 6 weeks. And whenever you're facing a wrestler like Aljamain Sterling, that's tough. And that gets in your head. And I think that's probably why he looked a little nervous coming out to the cage. But man, he looked good. He looked real good. The Sugar Show is here. The Sugar Show's alive. I believe we're entering a new era in the bantamweight division. The problem is, though, this is the deepest, darkest, hardest, most stacked division in the UFC. You've got Merab, you've got Cheeto, Henry Cejudo, Umar. Like I've listed all these names earlier. Aljamain Sterling is technically still there. Petr Yan, Rob Font. We could just list on. Song Yadong. We can list on and on and on and on and on. At any point in time, number 10 could beat number 1, or number 10 could be the champion because it's so stacked, it's so close. Now he has all eyes on him, and everybody wants Sean O'Malley. What I think is up next for Sean O'Malley, it's got to be Merab. If it's not an Aljamain Sterling rematch, in my opinion, it has to be Merab Dvalishvili. 9-fight win streak. Aljamain's teammate. It just makes sense. It makes sense. He is the number 1 contender. The only reason he didn't get the title shot is because Aljo was the champ. Sean O'Malley wants Cheeto Vera. I can understand why, because of the promotions and all that stuff and blah, 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 blah. But I don't believe Cheeto, with the performance that he has, dare I say, like Sugar Sean O'Malley said, a boring performance. He's not next up. I don't believe so. And what I think for Aljamain, if he stays at 135, he should either get the rematch or, I feel like he should have to fight one more. Fight Umar, fight Cheeto, fight Corey again. If he moves up to 145, there's a couple different options. I don't think he gets Volkanovski right off the bat now. Now, if he was champ going up, absolutely. But there's too many killers at 145 as well. Something we're going to go over next week, or later in the week, I should say, is the 145 division with Max Holloway and Korean Zombie fighting soon. But who I think is next is for Aljamain Sterling at 145, if he does go there, is Brian Ortega or possibly, potentially, Max Blessed Holloway. I'm going to leave it at that. Guys! Man, this was fun. I've been waiting for this moment, waiting for this day we've been talking about YouTube, dude, for like a month. It's so fun. This is being able to see myself like I'm looking here, but then the camera's... Just being able to do this is awesome. I love this sport. I love everything about this. I hope you love this podcast. If you do, please share it with all your people. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, all the things. Yeah, it's going to be great. I love you. This was fun. I can't wait to do it again. Hope you have a great week. See you later in the week. Peace!